he had to leave us to deal some drugs, sadly. But
we told him not to, but
that's
he said he needed some dispensable cash, I guess.
If nothing else, he'll wear the hat.
That's how we finance this show now.
Yeah.
Off of his dealings.
Somehow we still can't get that studio back.
No.
Boy, I hope the DEA doesn't get a hold of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or the NCAA, or the FDA, or the USDA,
or the FBI, or the CIA,
or NSA, or especially Black Hill State.
I hope Clemson gets it, though.
Good. Clemson. We'll talk more about them later. But the NFL, things actually happened.
Football.
Games were played. Games of significance in the standings mattered for once, so we can talk about it. Probably the game of the week. You had Green Bay come from behind. The Giants.
I was that close when I picked that I thought the Giants would pull the upset.
You were. Your bold statement.
Though.
You were.
Giants a chance to tie the Cowboys for the division lead with a chance to take the lead with a win next Sunday night against Dallas. Well, there's still a game back. Did you think with a minute left that Green Bay was probably going to come back and win that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's terrible to have to
80 yards away.
I thought
a one-time
need a field goal.
You know that Crosby's a pretty good kicker. Rodgers, I knew right when they hit Jermichael Finley on that little out route, and the Giants linebacker completely missed the tackle and got 15 extra yards. I'm like, ball game, because that's 15 yards you gave up if you would have just tackled him or forced him out of bounds. That's 15 more yards Rodgers has to make up somewhere else down the line, and I mean, no problem getting to the 15-yard or the 13-yard line to set up a 30-yard field goal.
I'll put it this way: I thought they would score. I did not think they'd get to the 30-yard line in 2 plays, though. I was shocked at how quickly they got into scoring position.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like they were going to take a timeout and have to attempt like a low 50s or high 40s field goal. And they just instantly, it was like, oh, well, this game's already over.
Yeah. I don't know if I've said this on the show, but I hate the Packers. But I really
respect them. They're good.
I really respect them. I respect Aaron Rodgers. He is a machine out there. He gets the ball. He throws 4 incompletions a game.
Well, how many drops in that game? There are at least probably a half dozen drops.
Yeah, and he has good receivers. He has good receivers for the system. I'd be curious to see how each one of them would do in their own element, what numbers they put up.
Is this like a Colts situation?
I kind of feel like it is to a certain extent. But I mean, the Colts, I think,
or just the New England situation where just plug in any old
I don't think this is this. I think this is. And like those two
how about this?
locations,
I think it is, as long as they've got the right quarterback.
Yep.
I think Favre was a little too gunslingery, but was good enough that he could make it work. And they're much, much, much better now. And with I'm gonna steal what Trent Dilfer said last night. When there's quarterbacks, there's surgeons and there's butchers. The butchers go out and just hack at it, and sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. The surgeons go in, they're precise, they know what they're doing, and it almost always works really, really well. And I'll let you try to decide which one you think Aaron Rodgers is.
I'll go with the fact that he's a surgeon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really good. Now, back to your point on, actually your point first on Favre.
He was a butcher.
He was a butcher. I think he was more against doing it any other way than his when he was with the Packers. And McCarthy, whatever system he had set up, was built kind of for young players, Rodgers, and I think Favre never really got that going other than he got him in an NFC Championship game.
Favre was still good.
No,
he's not as successful as Rodgers has been the last 2, but he was still good when he was there.
I think that's a letdown for the Giants. I mean, to let that one go on your home field. And Eli Manning drives down the field kind of like he usually does. Yeah. A pretty good drive, gets the touchdown, and
just the 2-point conversion, too.
Yeah, and then you look at the clock and you go, there's a minute 20 left. Rodgers one timeout. He's looking pretty good for this, and he did it. So
I've always thought that's a tough situation when you're going against a really good offense, because you have people say, oh, well, don't score too soon. And it's like, well, yeah, you don't want to score too soon. You have to make sure that you score, too. Yeah. You know, and it's like when you're at the 30-yard line, are you going to start purposely killing clock? I mean, you don't want to kill too much clock and then have a guy get tackled inbounds, and all of a sudden you're at the 20-yard line with 1 play left to score.
Right. I think we're almost to the point in the NFL, and yeah, it's a passing league, offensive league, but in the situations like what Rodgers was in, you know which quarterbacks are going to be able to get him down the field. You got Breeze, you got Brady, you You got Rodgers. I would say Manning.
He's
Manning
healthy.
when he's healthy. And I can't really think of anybody else.
Want to go dumb double? That last drive against the Chargers, when he came in there in that second half against Orton, like a month and a half.
The first time they played.
They were down like 2-3 touchdowns. They lose 29-24.
Yeah.
That last drive, he has a heave-ho 40 yards in the end zone. Almost pulls it off.
I had the feeling that Tebow was going to go the length of the field, get the points or
I
whatever.
thought he was going to get the touchdown.
Get the touchdown. Yep.
And if it wasn't for it would have been a nice catch, but it was kind of a drop.
Yeah, he dropped that.
For Demarius Thomas.
That was the best
that
throw.
That would have been a touchdown.
That was the best throw Tebow made all day.
Yeah.
And it's dropped in the end zone. The media will say that, yes, he is now in the company of players who you can count on him to drive you down the field. I won't. You got Breeze, you got Brady, you got Rodgers. They've done it over a period of time. I don't feel like Tebow's getting there. You're going to prove me wrong.
No, I agree that he's not in that company, and I wouldn't put him in that company. So I agree with that.
Okay.
But if it's your favorite team, and other than the guys you've mentioned, the next one on that list I would not want would probably be Tebow to go against.
Yeah.
And not because he's the most talented or the great, but he just... It seems like, we're talking about this every week. It doesn't matter. And he's just like, oh, well, he didn't. Yes.
You're telling me if you're down 4 and you got 2 minutes left and 2 timeouts at the 20, you don't. If I'm a Viking fan in that situation, I don't expect to win that game.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the weird balance that personally as a fan I'm in. Like, I knew Tebow was going to go down the field against the Vikings. 1, because the Vikings are terrible right now. And 2, because Tebow has kind of done this for a couple weeks. Now, looking at it overall, is he as good as Brady Manning?
Has he had a week where he's won and he hasn't done this? He had the Jets game. He's had
I
the
don't
Vikings
think so.
game.
I think he's done this
the
every
Chargers
time.
game in overtime.
I mean, I think
the Raiders were the only game that game was tied at 24 heading into the fourth quarter.
I mean, it's to the point now, though, kind of, where it's like we need to look at this, that Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback in the NFL right now that has a better starting record than Tebow does this year.
Right. And
I mean, somewhere there might be some guy that's 1-0 in one start, but of guys that have started 4 or 5 games, I mean, this is really, it's almost starting. It's getting comical and strange and mysterious at the same time.
Our guy T.J. Yates won.
T.J. Yates, thanks to T.J. Yates. Money's coming my way because of T.J. Yates. Not much, but it's coming my way. You look at Tebow, he does it again. Why do people, the 30 seconds that I saw first take this morning, and I turned on like at 10:55.
That was a bad idea.
And wouldn't you know it? Oh, they're talking Tebow. The 30 seconds of the entire 2-hour program, they're talking Tebow.
I never watched the whole show, but I'm pretty sure that's all they talk about.
And they got John, obviously, because that's all I see. They had John Ritchie on there and said he only completed 10 passes. Well, they put up 30 points, and they won the game. And he only threw 15, so 10 out of 15, that's pretty good.
Aside
from
and the other thing, too, is that a lot of these games they've been winning. They've been averaging like 17 points since he took over. It's that the defense had played great and the offense made just enough plays. Where this one, it kind of looks like the offense actually played very well. And they actually moved the ball and put up a lot of points in a game where Denver's defense didn't play as well as
defense got him 10. Let's not lose sight of that. Defense got him 10.
Somehow the Vikings offense had the game of their season. Somehow. Without their second best receiver, without Adrian Peterson, with the rookie quarterback, with a terrible offensive line.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of that game. I didn't realize till very, very, very late that Peterson wasn't even playing.
They had one guy all year on the entire team, more than 10 catches. Percy Harvin had 8. And Aroma should do damn near, he had, 9 catches or something?
Yeah.
In the entire season, he has 6 in this game.
Yeah, there was a point in the game where he had 4 catches for 60-some yards, and they said, "Oh, that's a season high." I'm like, "Oh, could have fooled me."
Really.
The Vikings are. I was kind of discussing this last night about how if you looked at the Vikings, would you say that they're a 2-10 team? Do they deserve to be 2-10? No. They could probably be 4-8, maybe 5-7. But you can look at this team and who they had yesterday, and you can go, that's a 2-10 team out there. I mean, there's no secondary. There's not much defensive effort outside of maybe Chad Greenway and Jared Allen. Yeah. And, I mean, they still get a pass rush, one of the best pass rushes in the league.
Brian Robinson, add him in.
There is no offensive line. Nobody. This Charlie Johnson charade that they've been playing all year is really getting old.
I liked him when he was a catcher for the Marlins in the 90s. That's where I liked him better.
And Toby Gerhart, bless his heart, he needs to get a haircut and learn how to run in the NFL. I mean, because he's struggling in there.
He could be okay, but he's not. He's a number
fine.
2 or a number 3 running back. So he's
Lorenzo,
not gonna be
can
a guy
I
that's
give a
gonna
call
start.
for Lorenzo Booker?
Tell him to stay in the end.
No, just put him in. Well, that was Cheryl's.
Marcus
Cheryl's was taking it out. Lorenzo Booker, give him the ball. They never use a backup running back. Their backup running back is Percy Harvin, and whenever they shift him from the slot to the backfield, you know they are running the ball. I don't think they have not run the ball the entire year, and they have shifted him.
I think you're right.
I think I'm not even kidding. Like every play this year, he's lined up at receiver and then shifted to running back. They've ran it every time.
Yeah,
How does defenses not pick up on
I
that?
think the defenses know what's going on. Percy Harvin's really good. I mean, I think he proved that yesterday. He's a legitimate weapon.
He doesn't have migraines and is throwing up on the sidelines.
His ribs aren't broken. And
he's fragile.
He doesn't have Joe Mauer sickness. He's fine. He's fine.
At 2-10, though, I'm going to be hard pressed to watch too many more games that closely for the rest of the year. I might go to one more game. I might go to the Bears game January 1st. But
they win that game.
They win that game.
They win that game. They win against Washington. They go 4-12.
They win as long as the Bears don't have anything to play for.
As long as they have McNabb as their quarterback, Vikings will win that game. Would he get booed out of the building, you think, if he comes back in the Bears uniform?
He's gonna get booed out of the building if the Vikings win that game because he's gonna cost him draft spot.
That's so
because they're gonna lose. Vikings will drop back in the draft picking order, and McNabb strikes again.
Yeah,
true. I mean, being that we haven't talked enough about Tebow, though, one other thing to mention is I think obviously there's a lot of people that enjoy watching him play and kind of like him now, and a lot of people that hate him. But for anyone out there who's on the fence, a reason to cheer for him is there's basically almost everyone in the NFL runs the exact same offense, with the only differences basically being the Saints, the Patriots, the Packers, and the Colts when Manning's there. And then everyone else basically runs, the hybrid of the West Coast offense with a bunch of other stuff sprinkled in that they talk about how thick the playbooks are and they're so hard to learn, but they only run 45 plays the entire season ever. But with Tebow, and now with this new offense, is you're forcing offensive coordinators to look at this and say, oh, well, just because we've thought this, and don't get wrong, or don't be wrong, the NFL all the time, they're positive about things, and then someone says, okay, I'll try it, and it ends up working, and it's a copycat league. So, if Denver, I'm not saying they need to win Super Bowls or anything, but if they're just reasonably successful running this offense, you'd have a lot of offensive coordinators in the offseason, not necessarily doing what they do, but looking and saying, oh, there's a lot of other offenses out there that, we're not very good offensively. We need to do something to shake it up. That you could start seeing some more entertaining things in terms of that. I don't think you're going to see the triple option anytime soon, but you could see some more run and shoot or spread offense stuff.
What is John Elway going to have to say about this whole... Is Tebow still the quarterback in the future for the Broncos? He's kind of said, well, I don't know. I don't know if he should.
At this point, I think he's got to be until they start losing. Imagine the uproar in Denver if they, either make the playoffs and lose them, in the first round, or just barely miss the playoffs with as bad of a start as they had, and then the next year they just say,
Denver,
we're going to have somebody else be the quarterback now.
Denver's not the smartest of organizations after John Elway. They took Jake Plummer. He had an 8-3 record. They're well on their way to the playoffs. Who do they insert in there? Old double chin Jay Cutler. You're 8-3 with Jake Plummer. There's no reason to put in Jay Cutler. Jake Plummer never plays again. Jay Cutler now, he's in Chicago.
There was no reason to get rid of Jake Cutler.
And they got rid of Mike Shanahan, and they've been crappy since then.
And let's see. Tim Tebow, he has 2 weeks before his first start of the season against Miami. Who did they trade before that? Oh, your best player and your Pro Bowl receiver last year that had 1,400 yards, Brandon Lloyd. So don't give me any of this BS.
I think one thing to bring up with receivers, though, is you're going to have to, they're not, people are going to say, okay,